Yeah.
But RNG yesterday just looked so good, and RNG all year long has looked so good. It almost feels like it's there. It's so favored towards them.
And almost more importantly, Gen.G did not look good yesterday. They got absolutely steamrolled by Vitality in the Echo play, but we're right into it already. Again, the analyst desk, they kind of set it up here around the bottom lane. Ruler and Uzi are both so important to their teams. You can already see Kaisa is off the table, not letting Uzi get his hands on that late game carry champion with the best AD carry in the world. Probably a good idea.
Yeah. Right. I mean, if you're banning Kaisa, I also feel like you got to get rid of Xayah. Like, you can take that for yourself, because that would just be his go-to pick. And that's what he played yesterday. Otherwise, Ashe, Varus are kind of the picks Ruler has been using a lot. He used the Ashe yesterday. Obviously, was not very successful because he flashed level 1 against a headbutt, and it kind of ruined the lane for him. But I need to see if it's a Xayah first pick coming in, especially with Urgot Aatrox already banned on the other side.
I always love seeing what the strategy is coming out from both teams from picks and bans. I do think the bans are somewhat open because you can trade picks back and forth. It's RNG saying, we don't want Kuve to carry from top, so Urgot and Aatrox are gone. And Gen.G get rid of two of the most heavily contested power picks for bot lane with the Kaisa Alice, hoping to somewhat neutralize Uzi Ming.
And I really like this angle from RNG in their ban phase. Kuve is notorious for his playoffs and worlds buff and gauntlet buff, and he definitely is a top laner who can play one of those champions to the hard carry potential. There it is, though, the Xayah that we did expect. This is very common first pick so far. They kind of present the opportunity for the opponent to split up the lovers duo, break up, get the recon for themselves, and force them into a squishier but very quick all-in engaged champion.
And right away, the Scion gets grabbed here. We know that is a flex between top and mid lane. We'll wait to see where that goes. Xiao, who's certainly a huge champion pool for him, an absolute monster on RNG. When it's not Uzi, it's him carrying, but when it is Uzi, of course, he takes a back seat, and Scion would fit the bill for an Uzi comp.
So we get Camille here, also can be flexed between top and jungle. I wonder if we get a supportive mid laner for Crown to play with the Camille and create a super strong 2v2 skirmish around mid, shut down Xiaohu, and use that to stop Uzi from winning bot lane too hard. We're gonna have to wait until the second phase before we get the mid lane choice. And I also want to see what Uzi plays in the AD carry position when Xayah and Kaisa gone.
Yeah, the Camille is so interesting right now because the G2 game is so fresh in everyone's memory where they use the Camille so effectively with Wonder split pushing, but I really do like Haru's Camille jungle.
Yeah.
And how quickly he can go for a lot of control early, getting those ganks off.
I really think Lulu Camille is a combination you can use. Crown Syndra was not great yesterday. In the gauntlet, he was successful running a lot of utility-based picks, like things that have strong CC or good, abilities to buff a teammate. I think that's the style you should be looking for with him, but we're gonna have to wait and see what he actually decides to lock in. Sivir, however, is one of those AD carries that really returned to the meta and will still build the standard crit items.
Still a bit of a surprise, though. Neither Uzi nor Abel, their other AD carry, has played it all throughout the summer split. I'm a little surprised to see that picked up here. I also don't feel like it's that great into Xayah because Spell Shield, I believe, only blocks one Blade Collar Feather, so this does seem a little weird to me.
That was the thing that I was immediately jumped in my mind as soon as I saw the pick. I was like, well, how fast is Uzi's reaction, and does it even
I don't think it's
cancel
good.
the root part?
I'm pretty sure it doesn't. I could be wrong. I don't remember the matchup that well, but this doesn't feel like a good matchup to me. But maybe there's something that they know they want to do that will work well here. I trust RNG. I trust them to know their bot lane matchups.
Ooh, I like the Aurelia ban here, especially because you're expecting to blind pick your mid laner and then Xiaohu can last pick his. And we've already seen Aurelia now be super, super scary. Actually, maybe because of the bans or because Ryze is available and Xiaohu loves to play Ryze. They grab it. Give me that, Lulu. We already talked about why it's good. Do it.
Look at how much mobility, too, is on the side of RNG with Rakan, Sivir ultimate, Ryze ultimate available for themselves, and constant choo-choo train right down the middle from Scion. They can force engagement, force flashes, and then use their follow-up speed to chase people down. Whereas Gen.G, they do have the explosive, chase opportunity. But with the Olaf locked in, that is definitely going to be a solo lane Camille.
Yeah, and we have now solo laners plus jungler to really dominate that top side of the map. Olaf, Lulu against Ryze and Lee Sin around the mid lane. Level 6, I give that to Lulu Olaf to try and win that skirmish and shut down Xiaohu and Kasa. If that doesn't happen, we know Xiaohu is one of the best Rise players in the world, and he will be able to move to a side lane, apply constant pressure, while Uzi's just perma-wave clearing mid on Sivir.
Gonna be an interesting game to watch. Gen.G's comp looks very focused around Ruler. Lulu mid, of course, a lot of extra buffs there. The Braum for the front line. The only real big damage threat's the Camille, and not as threatening of a team fighter as a damage dealer there. So Ruler getting a lot of the pressure here on the team, and certainly an incredibly top-class bot laner. Ruler is super, super incredible. Probably the biggest carry threat on this team. I'm excited to see what he can do, but he's up against the best bot laner in the world in Uzi, and Ming, of course, an absolute star in his own right as well.
Definitely all true statements here from Freak in the opener. I am super excited as well for Karsa Lee Sin. This mid-jungle 2v2 that you're talking about has so much potential. The mobility of Lee Sin is very good into Olaf, but if you just do the stat check and have them 1v1 straight up, that will go over to Olaf. So you really do have to get more creative and choose your opportunities there. Use the execution damage to make sure you actually finish off the kill.
Well, here we go. Picks and bans are done. The lineups are secured, and Royal never give up. A 1-0 start to Worlds. The pre-tournament favorites going up against the defending world champions in their second game of Worlds 2018. Gen.G was upset yesterday by Europe's Team Vitality, but they can make a statement here today by taking down RNG, and we are onto the Rift.
Very, very true. If Gen.G lose, Korea will start 1-4. I've never seen them have such a bad start to a tournament. Meanwhile, RNG can make sure that China stays undefeated so far here in the group stages.
And it would be Gen.G falling in Korea 1-4 in their home country. Some irony that would be in front of the home crowd, but they will hope to keep their fans excited here for this one. Let's look for a little bit of a semi-invade here, waiting this rush, hoping for maybe a trinket ward to come down or someone to overstep slightly.
I like the trends that we're seeing, though. More teams willing to go for these level ones, try and get that small advantage to open up the game. We've seen them have really big cascading effects throughout the early game.
So far, nothing is happening in terms of invades. Might get it one now.
Braum and Olaf, though. Braum, Olaf, basically two of the best level 1 champions in the entire game.
Yeah.
You can see Karsa immediately respects, backs off. They do scare his Ghost Pourer off. That will put it on cooldown, so he won't have any more security. And they drop off a ward in the Raptor pit, so he's getting a little antsy.
And a defensive trinket ward comes down from Crown, but Ming started with a sweeper and could get rid of that if he wanted to help Lee Sin invade, and indeed that will happen. The 10 gold given over and shared with Uzi down to this one as Haru's going to have himself a quick blue buff start solo, as it typically is, and Karsa the same on the top side with the red buff.
Yeah, Ming is starting sweeper on his side, and he actually stayed around the mid lane to kill the ward placed by Crown, I believe. There's a ward just outside the Raptor camp. Kasa could be looking to try and play towards that bottom side early. We know Sivir push is very strong initially at the moment she walks down into the laning phase. But obviously with KoJJ and Ruler starting in the lane, they are able to quickly take care of the first few melee minions.
Yeah, definitely rushing a little bit into the work there. Does get the push for Uzi and Ming. Shield's going out as well. Guardian, pretty standard there from KoJJ. Does block a little bit of the chip damage. Meanwhile, mid lane, actually Crown getting some nice flitter lances through the minion wave.
Yeah, we still know that Lulu's early damage is very strong. Good base damage on her. She can take a lot of these quick trades against a lot of mid laners. But her main focus is still going to be playing with your jungler in the early game when Haru comes to mid.
Exactly. It's so much about the 2v2 around that mid lane. Ryze has the root to set up. Lulu fairly squishy and a good target, but also the polymorph into an Olaf rundown, very, very threatening.
And tracking Haru, I think, will be super interesting. He has, of 13 tracked junglers in Korea, the lowest jungle proximity, which is time spent near his teammates in the first 15 minutes. Despite the fact that he puts out the least gank statistically, he has the highest kills and assists at 15 per game of all the junglers in Korea. When he ganks, it works every time.
Yeah, exactly. Very efficient ganks he's able to pull off. The time spent, definitely not very high, but the effectiveness is definitely there. Meanwhile, on the other side, Karsa, he is running this Dark Harvest, which has gained a lot of momentum since the changes to Electrocute for a lot of champions that used to take it. But there is a huge difference. Dark Harvest, you have to stack up. before you get to your 150 stacks first, it only lasts 20 seconds after the last one that you just picked up. So people thinking that they're going to have a similar electrocute burst damage in the early game in those skirmishes, really have to make it very quick after killing a jungle camp or picking one up, from a cannon minion or someone dying to actually get that value. Otherwise, you're going into combat without a huge part of why people used to take things like electrocute on those types of champions.
He's also losing his Raptor camp. He actually decided to skip it on the first clear because it was warded by Gen.G. He did the 2 camps, red buff Crux, and then he walked down to the Rift Scuttler, secured that one, and just kills his bottom side. So both junglers, all focuses on farming. Haro can just wait for his boots, potentially even level 6 before he starts doing anything. And xiaohu should know he might be a target here. Meanwhile, top lane, the famous saying of let me always trying to just neutralize the lane. He's on the tank, but we saw with Wonders Camille, while you do not necessarily destroy a sign in the early game, get to 2 items and you will be such a massive threat in the side lane.
Exactly. The main goal for Camille is gold in the early game, trying to build up your items. Once you start to get your Tiamat built, your Trinity Force built, so you have burst damage, you have AoE pushing on the wave, then you get way more options. You can take advantage of the champion's kit. Camille with one of the longest engage ranges of any champion in League of Legends with your hookshot off a wall towards a champion and Hextech Ultimatum, that starts to open up those opportunities.
One thing that does surprise me a bit looking at this game is how much RNG is pushing with only half the trinket wards available to their squad and have so far been able to not be touched by Haru yet. Though Haru doesn't gank a whole lot, he does spend his time bot lane. He's actually an above average bot lane ganker for LCK standards and a spot I would expect him to be in. So far though, nothing much happening and they've been able to be safe in this bottom lane, Uzi and Ming untouched.
Important slow there from Crown onto xiaohu. Keeping this distance. He's kiting this rise so that the Rune Prison doesn't go off. Once that thing lands, that's where the Lee Sin commits all in and they get the big gank around mid lane. But he's playing very well, allowing an Olaf to take advantage of his very quick clear and power farm.
Exactly. Second Crux camp on the bottom side now for Haro. He's already level 5. Kasa was waiting for his camps to respawn. That's why he looked towards mid lane. But he's going to be pretty far behind in experience. And we already mentioned that level 6 for Olaf with the Lulu to just try and run down xiaohu. If you win mid lane in the early game, you use that to go bot lane and stop Uzi from doing what he's doing now, which is effectively just pushing the lane all the time. You can already see a small CS difference between the 280 carries, but we know that the mid lane is still the focus.
So far, so good for RNG, though able to do well on the bottom side. Of course, overall, the farm is quite nice on the Gen.G side with 500 gold ahead and the jungle being a very big part of that one, of course. But now a fight in the top side. Ultimate's available on both. A channel, not quite the knockup, though. Kube not going to continue for this fight as Let Me able to do just fine on that trade.
Haro got level 6 now on the camp in the bottom side. He snuck his way down as well. Kasa is not even nearby. He needs to just keep killing camps to get level 6 on his own side. Don't know if they actually spotted him. Ming was looking around.
Yeah, Ming landed the Q there onto Core JJ. I don't know if that small little visibility actually extended to Haru.
But the lane is pushing now.
There could be that play, but look how Ming is playing up, and he can jump back to Uzi to make sure he stays safe. Just W's backwards. There's no way to stop that guy from getting out there. Yeah, doesn't even need a spell shield. No problem there, and Haru will have an unsuccessful gank in the bot lane. Rare for him.
It's so impressive. I mean, people are always gushing over Uzi and Ming in their lane, but it's not just the offensive play, and they've been able to deny CS, get that CS lead for themselves in the 2-2 already with their Sivir counter pick, but then also the defensive play there, effortlessly almost evading.
And here's Karsa flashing for that one into the immediate knockup. There is a flash. He's going to try to get out, and Kube does just that.
Oh, they just barely didn't have the extra damage to finish off the kill, even with the explosive flash kick there from Karsa. Kube gets out.
That was so sick, though, the synergy and how quickly they execute the combo. Karsa jumps in, flash kick into an ulti from a sign. They've used so much of their CC right now. They do not get a knock-up from the Q. And Kube managed to get in range near the wall. He gets out, he stays alive. Meanwhile, bot lane, a big trade in favor of Ruler and Core JJ. Uzi is forced back, and he used both summoners in that trade here.
Traded summoners with Core JJ, lost his summoner heal. Of course, it was Ruler who brought TP to keep his laning phase a little bit nicer to make sure those recalls weren't bad. It's Uzi now taking the long walk back here, and it's not a cannon wave, which means these minions will die rapidly. Ming cannot freeze this with the pressure on him, and there's going to be a lot of minions lost for Uzi.
Yeah, this is a very big. QV staying alive top and getting the flash from Casa, and then you force the flash bot lane as well.
Yeah, that was just so clutch there, him getting out, because as I mentioned before, the extra burst damage actually is there for Karsa. He finished off the red buff, and before the 20 seconds Dark Harvest actually expired, he got there. But bottom side, this is what went down. Ruler, Core JJ jump in onto Uzi. They get the stun, uses the ultimate here to try and burst him down. Ignites both used, but unable to find the kill and first blood.
Pretty big mistake, however, from Uzi. Not only did he greed by staying forward without Ming next to him, also didn't get to spell shield the initial Q from Core JJ, and then had to use both summoners to get out. So definitely a win for Gen.G. Can they actually go down and get something from this? And Olaf can run down this no flash Sivir so easily.
Yeah. Definitely true. No summoners available for the escape, and Haru been farming very efficiently so far this game. Should be able to route down there pretty quickly. Vision has also been cleaned out preemptively in this area, so both teams should know that this is a prime target.
We'll see if those ganks come through a somewhat defensive control ward there for Royal Never Give Up. Want to make sure that bot lane can stay safe as Uzi is shoving. Not a lot of attack damage though, means the wave clear is actually a little bit low. You don't kill those casters with the Q and the W that easily with only a couple of longswords.
Yeah, he's only sitting on 400 gold as well, so it will be quite some time before he can actually get anything useful for himself. And that is, it's good to see the Gen.G bottom lane, the one we actually hyped up so much during Worlds last year and said this was the main win condition for this team when they took down SKT. Remained the same during all of 2018 where Ruler was the big carry. Great to see him stand up here and actually go slightly ahead of Uzi.
Yeah, Ruler was definitely impressive this year. I mean, especially in the Gauntlet run, where he's Varus ulting the Rakan, engages multiple times, trying to stop those ones right in front of his face. This time around, he is on the Xayah. Gen.G, Haru, and the bottom lane are starting up the Mountain Drake plus Scuttle Crab, and will be able to use this control to be able to take some objectives for themselves and push it a little bit further.
400 gold lead plus the Mountain Drake. Gen.G look a little bit back on form. The typical way that Gen.G wins is actually not with the first bloods and early kills. It's CS leads and first turret. They give up very, very little, very few deaths, very few turrets. They're actually a very good early game team because they give up nothing, and they're on pace for that kind of a play again.
Juve tries to go in and get a stun there onto Let Me, but it is denied by the ultimate. One of the things they have lost a little bit in this game early is, of course, the CS difference with QV and Let Me on the top side. There was the Karsa gank, even though they didn't get the kill, did cost them a huge chunk of health, as well as you know, his flash, requiring him to play much more defensively.
Definitely will delay him quite a bit. It's very expensive items he's looking for in the early game, and he's not a huge kill threat before he actually gets them. And sure, we know that he will take down turrets with a Trinity Force very effectively, but right now, it's pretty far away. So while you have the advantage for Ruler bottom side with the BF sword, Uzi's just getting some attack speed to just wave clear. He doesn't need to trade. And it's actually QV who's constantly taking a bunch of damage up there against their Sion, and Kaza's on his way towards top side, potentially a tower dive.
So exciting here, how the game developing this closely between the two teams here with the most recent international success. Gen.G defending champions, and RNG have won all of the tournaments so far this year. As you said, he slipped into the brush on top side, but he was seen on a ward, so look at bottom side, they're actually overloading, and it is going to be a charge getting off.
Royal Never Give Up, gonna start winning through top lane. Not typical for a comp with Uzi on it, but with Ruler handling that pretty well. Let Me is instead the win condition, at least early on. A big lead in lane, 33 CS up.
Gets
first
another
turret
charge.
gold shared with Karsa, and that is indeed another charge from that turret, losing a lot of health down there as the wave is getting denied.
And the problem for Gen.G here, they couldn't actually go and make a play bot side because Sivir, with the early attack speed, just killed the wave instantly. There was nothing to actually set up a play with. And that means now RNG, with Kaza controlling top side and Let Me winning his lane, gets a nice little chunk of gold. Sure, most of it onto the side, but he's very tanky already.
And normally, all your gold in a tank doesn't mean a ton. You usually want that gold on a Xayah or a Sivir or some other hard carry, but it's a full physical damage team aside from a Merc Treads Lulu. You can just stack armor and might never die this game.
Yep, he's already got the attack speed reduction aura in his Frozen Heart completed. Plus, cooldown reduction is so great on Sion. Earlier in the champ select, we mentioned the repeatability of his engage, and that cooldown shrinks so quickly later the game goes, especially with the early Frozen Heart builds up. That's going to allow RNG to dictate the pace.
He's on 175 armor at 13 minutes into the game. So if a Xayah or something walks up to him, will not deal any damage to this Sion, and that means RNG, once this laning phase ends, can actually start using Sion to just force engages really, really well around mid with his ulti. Then they can use that pressure to go bot lane for Uzi. Ooh, just be a little bit careful here.
Spell shields the slow. Will there be a knockup? Yes, but not aimed right, or he expected Uzi to juke. Walks in a straight line, gets away.
Uzi not taking any chances, pops his ult for the extra little bit of speed there just to make sure the ult doesn't tag him. And again, gets right back to pushing the lane. The Sivir pick definitely performing well for them. They've absorbed ganks from the Olaf. They created their own little CS lead early on and have been able to stay very safe.
And this is actually a good tip for AD carries in solo queue. If you do struggle a little bit in your lane, rushing a BF sword is not always the best thing you can do. Like we see AD carries go for instantly tier 2 boots with attack speed in it, and your entire focus is just on wave clearing and not actually trading with the enemy. When you do that, you kind of even out this lane despite you being slightly behind in terms of attack damage, and your team can do something elsewhere.
And honestly, you know, people were kind of joking about how Uzi renamed his account to Fnatic Reckless, you know, on solo queue, but that's the other player that we've seen do this, right? Play Sivir when a lot of other people are not playing Sivir, build early attack speed for shoving the wave, and he's definitely doing Reckless proud.
Especially when your only way to survive a gank is run away. Turns out move speed's really good for that. You know, an Ezreal or Caitlyn maybe can just like hook shot away or whatever else. But yeah, this is certainly something that might be required when an Olaf might run at your lane.
And while Haro here, he's done really well in terms of farming. I actually thought we would see more action from the Olaf. And I thought we would see him and Crown group together and try and get some pressure in first towards Yahoo and then towards the jungle. Try and get a bit of deep vision down and use that pressure to threaten the bot lane. Like we've seen a lot of tower dives being set up in the early game when you have mid lane control. But Haro's not really been around the lane whatsoever. He's just been continuing to farm or look towards the bottom lane.
And to that end, Haro has farmed up a Storm, 120 CS here to him on the Olaf, and has allowed him to complete an early Black Cleaver, which is a very offensive-oriented item and will help in shredding specifically the Scion's armor. So Olaf, you know, throw the Undertow, trying to get some auto attacks off on the front line. Olaf doesn't always have to dive straight to the back. He's going to try and soften up a little bit, maybe the front line, to allow the DPS on his team to get to work.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's enough assassination damage here for Gen.G. The ult out of Cuvée is pretty well telegraphed. Uzi can survive that without too much difficulty. Might have been part of the reason he picked Sivir was just to get away from Camille. And though the lane was maybe a bit testy, he's doing okay here. Ming's going to feel safe, just jumps right back in, and that's one of those powers of Rakan. You can kind of play that front line and bait some skill shots and jump right back to your teammates.
Also waiting for Kasa and his next play. We saw that one move into the top lane where he got the flash, forced QA out of lane, returned with the Rift held. But it's been about it. It's been a very passive early game. Two teams who obviously prefer to just go towards the late game and play really big, explosive team fights. But that's where most people would say RNG should be favored.
And I think that Gen.G do have that extra wrinkle of we're waiting for Camille to get to a stronger split pushing point. They actually
You're gonna have to wait for a long time.
Yeah, they actually don't really want this 5-on-5 Sivir empowered like giant Scion running at them. They're like, please, Cuvée, get some money in your pockets, get your Tiamat, your Trinity Force built up so that we can, you know, try and push on the other side of the map a little bit to get something back for themselves. But because of Karsa and Let Me, that is going to be such a delayed game plan.
Oh, yes. You got a Phage, there's a Tiamat, there's a Sheen. On the other side, you got one fully completed item, almost two fully completed items on some of these players.
RNG ahead of schedule, and Gen.G trying to make up that time.
You're getting bot lane a little bit low as well, just below half HP now on bot lane outer turret. Those occasional shoves are working for RNG. and they're stacking up armor nicely as well. You're seeing the arm guard come through, but now, a flash over the wall, but here comes Olaf, and Haru's not satisfied. The knockup is there, and they might just get first blood. They do, as Karsa goes down, still fighting towards Ming, but the squad is around. A knockup for CoreJJ. In comes Sai on Choo Choo, as Haru will quite drop down to the crossblade, as 2 kills are answered back for RNG.
Well, we got what we wanted. We needed to see the Olaf get in a fight, secure a kill. The problem here, Cuvée stays top lane with his TP. Let me instantly responded, got down towards the bottom lane, and once the Olaf flashes over the wall, he's never getting out.
Yeah, that was a commitment of 2 members from Gen.G very deep without, as you said, a teleport from the top laner. So if everybody from RNG does join, they're going to have the advantage, and that's what ended up. But they still, in the end, did get the first kill.
Well, RNG got the bot lane turret. Would probably have taken down eventually anyway. Cuvée did not secure the turret. I thought this could have been a big deal for him. Staying top, get the turret, all the gold just for him. Sadly, it is still alive.
Yeah, I mean, Haru looked like he had been farming a lot of jungle camps all game and got a little bit fed up with it. Wanted a champion kill for himself, catching Karsa in the enemy jungle red-handed right next to the Dragon Pit. No hesitation. He's immediately in there. But again, teleport does come in from RNG, who collapsed with everyone. And so CoreJJ, who follows Haru to commit to this, also gets caught up, and it ends up being 2 for 1 rather than just a 1 for 1 with the extra little bit of first blood money.
And that does seem like a weird choice from CoreJJ, because they had to know that Cuvée was not teleporting and Let Me did. You already got the kill before he flash ulted in. You can make that trade and let your top laner split push. That felt like maybe miscommunication or greed from CoreJJ in what they know is a worse fight.
Very true. Definitely agree on that one. Meanwhile, Uzi got the bot lane turret. He's now mid with the red buff. And we get that 1-3-1 setup with RNG, where Sion is holding the Camille. And then you have Xiaohu on the rise. Not seen a lot from him so far until that last fight. 2 items fully completed, 20 minutes. TF fully stacked. No one is going to stop him 1v1. And this is what RNG loves to do. They split up in 1-3-1 to push the lanes. And then they use the push to group and fight around Uzi.
That's the thing. You know, even if Cuvée does get the completed Trinity Force, Rise already has Tabbies and completed Hourglass. So if RNG just rotates Xiaohu to take, you know, Sion's place, then where is the momentum and the pressure really going to come from? It kind of has to be maybe a mistake from RNG here around a dive or some sort for Gen.G to really pull it through.
Yeah, we see the move here. We just mentioned how the Xiaohu moves up towards the mid lane to be a threat. Sion moves down. I was going to mention, okay, maybe Cuvée with TP advantage can set up a 5vs4, but it's Sion. He's just going to ult from his lane to join the fight, so it's not really anything you can utilize.
Ming.
Boys, just being a threat, zoning them away a little bit.
Yeah. And none of the engage for Gen.G outside of Cuvée is hard enough and consistent enough to threaten a Rakan. Everything is telegraphed that he can just W backwards, jump to a teammate. Ming gets to play this aggressively because of how few point-and-click crowd controls there are. The mid lane siege continues, and consistently they must defend this RNG sort of pressure as Uzi can knock down that turret if you give him enough time. Top lane finally does fall, but half the gold gets lost. No one's there for that 250 local.
All right, Gen.G trying to clear out all of this vision that RNG set up through their own jungle to allow themselves the opportunity to keep Cuvée up there, keep this Trinity Force completed Camille, you know, in that isolated situation. It just makes it so difficult because, as Officio mentioned, Rise Realm Morph is ready. Xiaohu's constantly threatening the transition from bottom to mid.
And this map setup makes the Lulu pick useless because she's stuck in a 1v1 lane that she can't win, and therefore she can't even use her ability to like speed up an Olaf or something where he can run forward and set up a play. You have Ardent Sensor as well for Ruler, but you're stuck bot lane in this lane here. So Gen.G, once we get like a map reset where RNG decides to recall, go back and spend their gold, that's when Gen.G will push out the lanes, and then they have to try and make a play as a group with Ruler and Crown together near an objective, because they can't just wait for this Camille. It takes too long right now for Cuvée to get in the game.
Yeah, I mean, Gen.G being pushed in on all sides right now. RNG not letting up on the pressure, not allowing them really, you know, an opening to set up any sort of surprising play. Cloud Drake is on the way, and we expect RNG to complete their reset here as we see the recalls from Let Me and Ming get off before this thing gets into a place, and they should be able to go claim that one for themselves.
Waiting for that next play. Cloud Drake has spawned an RNG already in the river. They've recalled the team. They're coming in about 5 to 10 seconds, and J.G. going to face check into this. Who's going to push him a little bit back in respect for Ruler?
This is what we just talked about. RNG resets, they go back to base. J.G. and Gen.G get a chance to move into the river. The problem is they're sitting on a lot of gold. Almost every member is above 1,000 gold in their bags. They haven't been able to go back and spend it, except for J.G. But that's what happens when you get pushed in all 3 lanes. Sometimes you have to take a fight, even without the perfect setup.
Meanwhile, Let Me on this Scion has completed the Thorn Mail at 23.5 minutes already, and he is going to be a huge nuisance in the front line. So, as we expected, RNG do collapse on it. They finish off the Drake, but the fight might still take off.
But Sion's well positioned. He's in the front line. The flash engage, a nice ult for Ruler, keeps himself alive, but the Pain Train's in the front line. There's a stun on Braum. They don't get the kill just yet. Karsa's gonna flash. He kicks in Ruler, but no kill just yet. Haru gets his kill into Karsa. It's jungle against jungle. 2 kills picked up as Uzi goes down. Kube finds the assassination. Finally, Xiao says, okay, it's on me. They turn one back, but Gen.G win the fight.
Insane counterpunch here from Gen.G, and they're able to outplay that fight. They take down Uzi so quickly. No flash even goes off. And now it is a 4 versus 3 situation. RNG still pushing up, though, and it looks like we're going to have Haru come join defense on this turret.
Well, they get a bit of damage on it. Oh, J.G. stepping forward next to Q.
Yeah, there's no engage tools, though, with Braum ult down, so they feel safe enough despite it being a 3v4, but they do force the slightly slower recall, and they've got the team back on the map now.
And remember, this is, again, Gen.G with a lot of gold in their bag, still taking the fight. What ends up happening is they spend so much on Ruler, even Karsa goes for him instead of taking the easy kill on the Braum, and then Cube from behind kind of shows up out of nowhere, and no one can protect Uzi.
Yeah, he gets right back, sticks onto Uzi, uses the ultimate, knocks away Ming and Xiao, who's there buying time for himself. They eventually answer with the flash, but I just want to emphasize how difficult of a fight that was for Gen.G. There is no way they win front to back. This Scion is fully stacked. He just went back and purchased. He's the only guy who spent all of his gold. Plus, he's one of the most fed members in the game. So they worked around him. That was such a creative way for them to get around the huge wall that RNG had set up. But also, I think RNG just jumped the gun there a little bit too fancy.
Greedy, yeah.
They didn't need to get that fancy.
No, if you're RNG, because you have this fed tank you just mentioned, Kobe, you can literally just focus on killing the enemy front line first. You don't have to dive in and kick back the AD carry and overextend.
That first engage, though, I mean, he didn't have QSS yet for Ruler. He got the ult off just in time to dodge Ming. If Ming hits that RW, I think that's a kill straight up. It's a 5v4 and there is no follow through. So really tight margins. I understand why they tried, but props to Ruler for being completely on point.
The caliber of the players in this game is the highest in the world, Freak.
Yes.
And those are the types of plays that we have come to expect from these players.
Oh, bot lane, look at this here. A lot of damage from Xiao. Karsa, he's spotted.
Okay. Cuvée is in a 1v2 now as Rai's going to show up with the Realm Warp.
No!
And that's not a good hook shot. And he's got to run. He's a little bit speedy. He kills some minions, finds a slow kick into the wall. And where can Cuvée go? He's flashed down. He's trying to get some move speed hitting some of the minions. And just running and running and running as far as his sword legs will take him. Another slow, still running Xiao, who's soon to be in range. But can they chase? And keep in mind, he's maybe got the damage. No. Xiao gets the burst, a good kill on the side lane.
And you can tell, Gen.G, we're like, with hands up in the air. What else can we do? Maybe Baron move over. Nothing they can get done. Just a Scuttle Crab and some control words get down. So that's a very good pick from RNG with no answer possible from Gen.G.
Well, RNG on their side now. IH just got completed for Uzi. Nothing on the other side because Ruler had to go QSS. You just want to fight so badly if you're RNG at this point with your strong tank and now your strong AD carry.
Again, front to back, and he's working on another completion here as well. The Scion is going to be so incredibly tanky. As you said, true damage crits will come through from Uzi, and we know the story of late game Sivir bouncing those blades through the entire team. We'll see though, Gen.G still have a lot left in them. Rise for pushing on bottom sides, making them react.
Yeah, we see Cuvée on his way back towards that bottom lane here. It was actually really interesting in the 1v1 or 1v2, I guess it was. Karsa didn't want to fully commit, knowing the damage this Camille can still deal towards him. Sure, she's still behind in the game, but we've already seen the Q nuke.
Yep. I mean, the way that they have to navigate the team fight from Gen.G's side is around this Scion. Here we go, though. 2v1.
2v1 this time against Xiaohu. They might get revenge. Let Me is here. The shields are pretty big. The knockup's coming, and a TP is joining. Now for Gen.G, they might get more. Xiaohu's dead. Uzi chasing in the core. JJ, but might get turned around. He's slowed, and Haru is here. He's got a flash away, but stays alive. But now Let Me is trapped.
Here we go.
This could be 2 kills for Gen.G, and they have found themselves right back into the game.
Cuvee gets his revenge. He is making this Camille work. They find the pick. That is 2-4 kills for Gen.G.
The first deaths for Let Me and Xiaohu, both of whom were very far ahead in their matchups. A big factor in the win so far, but now the gold is tied and Gen.G run right for that top river.
And Uzi lost all his summoners because he tried to help when the fight was already over. If Gen.G start the Baron, they can collapse and not know they're keeping Cuvee bot lane. He can take down this turret while RNG trying to defend mid. What a huge turnaround. Crown on the Lulu, joining the fight. This Camille is suddenly getting really, really strong.
Such a huge proactive play there from Gen.G to be the one to get the early advantage, 2v1ing that Rise, getting such a big health advantage that even when the teleport came in from Let Me, they had already done so much that they were able to take out big DPS source, and no one else from RNG had an easy route.
But just before the fight, we said, listen, RNG, they just want to get a team fight right now with the strong AD carry, but instead, it becomes the split-up skirmish where Lulu Camille are just way stronger in the 2v2 than a tank that they don't even care about because it's all about killing the Rise.
Exactly. Gen.G's motive is to go around the Scion, not through him. So they split up the team. They can kill him when he's isolated. Cuvee making good use of the second activation, true damage from Camille off of the Q to find that kill. And RNG need to keep it together if they want to actually take this victory and stay undefeated in the group. Their focus seems to be framed.
They need to 5 versus 5. No more 2v2s, 1v1s in the side lane. Camille, she is too strong at this point.
And Cuvee, you can see the damage from that fight, his double kill. This is a player, I think, above anyone else who gets a Worlds buff. He is a decidedly middling top laner in LCK until he comes to Worlds, and then he beats the World's best.
Yeah, or the Gauntlet to get him to Worlds works there too.
Once Worlds is in the title, he becomes the best top laner.
Definitely agreed. You guys said I was gonna have to wait a while. Well, now we're here. He's got the lifesteal as well with the Ravenous Hydra upgrade on his teammate, so he can quickly clear the wave and make the first move for Gen.G. This is the time in the game where we're waiting for, where we get to see the power of splitting them across the map. He can push out a side wave and try and force RNG to split up back into these skirmishes that Gen.G favor.
See what happens around their mid lane, because Let Me stay here for quite a while. That means Cuvee gets free push bottom side.
Oh.
RNG's answer normally is going to be start a Baron, because Let Me has no TP. Xiaohu can go bot with his TP and stop him, but he's recalling right now. The Warden will actually spot him. They're probably going to stop his... Yeah, there we go.
The Camille split push just continues. No one's on that side of the map just yet. It's going to be really big damage.
And this is really sloppy by RNG. That is not respecting the split push whatsoever.
2 members are actually going over there. They had Xiaohu and Cyan moving over, but then they call off the play because the tower's already dead. And Gen.G gets some more gold in their pockets. It's not even just the split push anymore. This is completed death cap on Lulu.
They're coming mid now.
Look out for this one. Here comes the collapse, and Rise is a little bit later on this play. Cuvee doesn't go for it, and now Xiaohu is back.
Yep, careful. You don't want to mess with the full 5-on-5. They do complete their defense here for RNG, but as I was about to say, the Lulu really making Ruler an insane threat. The true damage crits are at the point where he can actually get through this front line now that we've been talking up the whole game. He's got the added attack speed, move speed as well coming through, and you can see him trying to get those feathers down.
But we've now seen, and RNG probably will learn very quickly, that if you sit mid lane with your team, you have to start committing to either the turret or the Baron to actually force Cuvee to not just push bot lane. You need to force it to move from bot to join a team. What happened before here was RNG sat in mid, decided not to do anything with it, and then realized too late, hey, someone needs to stop this guy bot lane. A Baron play must happen soon, otherwise Cuvee takes you in him.
Remember earlier when we were saying RNG was getting too fancy with their team fight around Dragon? Now they have to get a little bit fancy. They can't just do the standard walk down lane because Gen.G aren't giving them that timing window.
All right, well, waiting for the next mid-game play, though. 33 minutes in, RNG on 3 Drakes. Gen.G have a mountain to themselves. Elder Dragon, of course, coming up next. Baron's been alive for a while. In the side lanes, looks a little bit Gen.G favorite, pushing in towards RNG's base. Push down in the mid lane. RNG keeping that turret alive so far. Yeah, from 28 minutes onward, it's been Gen.G. And again, Rula gets the ult off in time. Good dodge against Ming.
This guy has been so good at denying Rakan engages. He does it here again. Those are only 2 cooldowns traded, though. Actually, Sliver Ultimate was also used, and they're taking
damage on Uzi down to 1K. That was actually huge and massive. Courtney J was crit, but it's bigger that Uzi is now so hurt.
They also just sent him up to take the farm on top side because he was so hurt. He'll try and lifesteal off it. That means only 4 members defending mid as Gen.G start to collapse.
And we can just see how much damage they can deal here and how much protection Lulu can also offer to Rula. His ult is on cooldown, so if we get another engage from Ming, Rula cannot get out of it straight away. QSS also on cooldown.
One of the funny things about Lulu mid, early on, base damage is nice in lane. Mid-game, definitely could be a liability, but the late game scaling that she adds to your marksman, if you have one of these world-class AD carry players empowered by the Ardent Sensor Lulu, it just brings a whole new level of threat to that damage output.
And here comes the dive. Courtney J is far to look for Ruler. He flashes, but he's still been caught. The knockup. They're going to try to knock down Saya, and they get it. It's a 5v3, and the chase is on. Crowd is running, but he's nowhere to defend the base. The turret's going to fall.
That was insane. We just talked about all the cooldowns for Ruler. He couldn't get away. QV is now TPing away. He's not taking the inhib.
He can't race in time. He's got to come back to the base. So it's a 3v5 defense. RNG to start duo to keep the first minion alive. They're going to try to clear it. They're going to go for the kill. There's Camille on the backside, and it's not going to be enough. Another kill comes up. A double for Uzi, and it's time for the turret. They've got the shields. They've got the damage. They've got the 4 kills. They will wear it down. And RNG, a 2-0 start to Worlds, the defending champions, 0-2.
What? You could call that a fancy Scion ultimate straight down mid, I guess, Deficio, because that was the key to victory. They just run it straight at Ruler, chase him down, past the turrets, even with the flash. The Scion ultimate still going straight forward. He gets the kill, and RNG went straight to the Nexus.
But it's insane because Gen.G were defending so well. They got ahead in this game. They looked to be in the advantage in the driver's seat. They were taking some good fights in their favor. And then RNG just called, wait, this guy, no ulti. Scion ult towards him, and Ruler tried to flash almost in a straight line out of it. Ends up being caught on his own, and what a call. That's what world-class teams can do.
Choo-choo, my friend, choo-choo! RNG, take that one straight to the victory screen. You make a mistake like that versus a team of this caliber, and you will be punished to the highest degree.
The LPL and Freight Trains name a more iconic duo. They got that